Hello my book friends and welcome back to another book review. Today we are going to be discussing the highly anticipated first book in the Last Hours trilogy by Cassandra Clare, Chain of Gold. Oh my god, I finished this book at 3 a.m. last night. There was no way that I wasn't going to finish it, and when I tell you I was screaming and crying at this book when I read the last part, it's really hard to top the Infernal Devices because, you know, Will Herondale, Jim Carstairs, Tessa, all of my favorite people are in that trilogy. Is my favorite trilogy that Cassandra Clare has ever written. But I don't know if she continues putting out books like this, a 5-star read like this. If we're not careful, this trilogy will become my favorite that she has ever written, which I won't be mad about. This might possibly be my favorite book of 2020. And 2020 has just barely started, people. Like I said before, I gave this book a 5 out of 5 stars. It was amazing, okay? It was amazing. I can't put into words the love that I have for this book. I just can't stop thinking about it. I mean, I just finished the book, so everything that just happened is really fresh in my brain, and I'm heartbroken. I'm destroyed. I am ruined. The ending really just, I mean, it really did stab me in the heart and wreck everything that I love. Not to be dramatic or anything, but this book was an explosion of emotions. If you guys didn't know, Chain of Gold is the first book in the Last Hours trilogy. It's kind of like a continuation series to the Infernal Devices. The Infernal Devices being a part of the Shadowhunter Chronicles set in the 1800s. This one is set in the 1900s with the characters' children. So we see characters from the Infernal Devices, and the main characters in this book are their children. Some of our main characters in this book include James Herondale and Cordelia Carstairs. Our main character is Cordelia. She is the beautiful girl on the cover with the flaming red hair. She is half Persian. Oh my gosh, can I tell you, I loved the little sprinkles of the Persian language and stories throughout this book. It was just magical, and I loved hearing that. I had the audiobook, so the person that was like talking, she really spoke it really well. I think, like, I don't know Persian, but it was just so magical, like the way it sounded. Cordelia is possibly one of my favorite characters ever, and so is James Herondale. Oh my gosh, James Herondale. James Herondale, I'm not gonna give away too much, but James Herondale, he's part of the reason why my heart is destroyed. It is wrecked. It is on the ground. It is bleeding. In this book, Cordelia and her family moved to London to rejoin all of the Shadowhunters and kind of become part of society because Cordelia's father is in jail. They don't know if he's gonna be on trial, and they don't know if he's going to win his case. He might be put to death. I don't know. In order to help save his life, they are trying to become a part of society so that if they look better, then her dad looks better, and then hopefully he won't die. In the Shadowhunter Chronicles, the Shadowhunters, they defeat a lot of demons. Like, they kill off lots of demons. And in this book, it's really strange because in London, there are not a lot of demons roaming around. But then all of a sudden, there are all these demon attacks, and there's lots of mysteries surrounding it. That's basically what the entire book's about. It is just amazing. It is, like I said, probably my favorite book of 2020, and 2020 has barely even started. This book captured my heart, and I don't know what I'm gonna do with myself now that I have finished this and I have to wait another year for the sequel. What is gonna happen, you guys? What is gonna happen in this? I don't even know. Very distraught. I really just want to get into this. I really need somebody to talk to about this entire book. I have theories, I have questions, I have a lot of emotions. Obviously, as you can probably already tell, you probably think I'm really dramatic, but I can't help myself. I love this book. So that is all I'm going to say for the non-spoilery section. So if you haven't read this book, I mean, are you even listening to me? Like, go read the book. Come back so we can discuss it together. Okay, so for people that have read the book, what was that ending? Do we just need to talk about the ending, like, already? I knew it. I knew it from the very beginning. Once Grace took back that bracelet from James and he was starting to feel like lighter, and he was kind of going through like withdrawal symptoms, that she had put something like a spell or was like drugging him or something to make him love her. And he just seemed way too cool and calm. He wasn't feeling any pain after they had broken up. Like, there was no pain, there was like no heartache. And then she freaking put that bracelet back on him after he was finally getting over her, after he was just like, Grace, who? Cordelia and him, my ship was just about to sail. Oh, and also, if you guys have watched my crackpot theory video that I made right before this book came out, I was correct. I said that I thought that they were going to get engaged at the end of this book, and you know what? They got engaged. Am I happy to be right? A little bit. I feel a little bit superior that I saw that theory, and I kind of had it in my brain. I was a little bit correct. Do I like being correct in the way that it destroyed my character's heart, Cordelia? Like, poor Cordelia is in love with James, and she's having to go into this freaking wedding, and James flat out told her, no, I do not love you. I'm sorry. What? Can someone please take this freaking bracelet off James Herondale before I go through this book and take it off him myself? Grace Blackthorne, throughout this entire book, anytime that she was brought up, her name, anytime she showed up in a scene, anytime James thought of her, can we just not talk about her, please? Like, I don't want to talk about Grace. I don't want her here. She's annoying. She's always showing up, and I just can't deal with it. I can't deal with her. Can she be redeemed? I think so. Probably a little bit. I don't think she wants to hurt James, but she is. And I don't appreciate it. I don't like her manipulation. She was legit like,
James, I don't want to hurt you. I don't want to do this.
What do you mean?
Slaps that bracelet right back on him.
Oh my god, wait. I love Grace now?
My theory was that they were going to get engaged, but it was going to be in order to save Cordelia's father's life. Not that it was going to save Cordelia's reputation. When she stood up and said, no, James couldn't have possibly set fire to the Blackthorn Manor because he was with me all night in my room. Oh no, Cordelia. Oh no, 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 no. Get you a loyal friend like Cordelia. She would give up her reputation, ruin it, to make sure that her friends are okay. Poor Will Herondale has such faith in his son that he didn't burn down that house. But you know what, Will? He did. He's more like you than you thought. First off, I just want to say that I loved seeing Tessa and Will as parents in this book. It was so weird seeing them as parents, honestly, because I still think of them as like 17 to 18-year-old characters, but no, they're like, well, Tessa's, I mean, she is in her 40s, I guess, but she looks like she's in her early 20s. But Will, though, Will is like in his 40s, and he's such a dad. At the very end, when they were all in the graveyard and Lucy like ran into his arms and they just like hugged. Will and Tessa are the best parents. Let me just tell you right there, flat out, they're the best parents. I loved seeing them be so loving. We didn't see a lot of Jem in this book. I was thinking we were going to see more of him, but we didn't see a lot of him. We saw him at the very beginning. We got a little snippet that Will's parents died, and Jem came and just sat down next to Will as he cried. Will, Tessa, and Jem were just like all together, just being together. That's what I love about Will, Tessa, and Jem. Like, there is no ill will towards all of them. Like, both of them love Tessa. And right at this point in time, Will is the only one that is with Tessa romantically. Like, they love each other so much. That's what I love about their friendship. Like, Will loves Jem, Jem loves Will loves Tessa, Tessa loves Jem loves Tessa. There's more to it. Okay, triangles. Are we seeing another love triangle in this book? I can't deal with another love triangle, Cassie. I just can't. I love Matthew Fairchild. I think he is just going through the most in this book. No one knows how much pain he's truly going through, and he is just drowning himself in alcohol and just kind of being a jerk every once in a while, just not really being himself. And James can sense it. Lucy can sense it. Heck, Cordelia can sense it, and she hasn't even known him for very long. Is Matthew falling in love with Cordelia? Like, I'm not sure if he's really in love with her. Because at the beginning of this book, it was like he had a thing for Lucy as well. But Lucy was like, he doesn't love me. He just thinks that he loves me. So I'm thinking that maybe he really doesn't love Cordelia. He just thinks that he loves Cordelia. And it's just the emotional turmoil that he's going through at the moment. It was actually really funny at the very end when he was just like watching Cordelia and James dance at their engagement party, and Magnus was trying to flirt with him. He's like, well, now I know why you're not checking out my waistcoats and petticoats, because, you know, you're staring at them. Magnus was probably just like deja vu all over again. Herondale Parabatai, always in love with the same girl. Poor Magnus is being dragged into this again. I think he's probably really tired of us. And it's only gonna get worse, Magnus, because you still got the Mortal Instruments to go through. You still got the Dark Artifices to go through. I mean, it's just gonna keep going. Shadowhunters are always just gonna come to you for help. When Magnus walked in, yes, that is who we need. That is who we want. We need Magnus Bane. Grace just altogether, like, just makes me mad. Her interactions with James, she's just a very manipulative character, even though I know she doesn't want to be this manipulative, evil character. She just is. At this point in time, I don't like her. I think a lot of us just don't like her. I mean, we have a little bit of sympathy for her, but it's like very small. It's like really small. That part at the very beginning when Cordelia and James were at the ball and they were dancing, and then all of a sudden he sees Grace Blackthorne. He just stops dancing with Cordelia and walks over to greet Grace. What a gentleman you are, James Herondale. Oh, fuming embarrassments, jealousy. Like, that's what I felt at that moment. It was just so embarrassing because he just left her standing out there in the dance floor. Thank you, Matthew Fairchild, for helping us out at that very moment. Okay, so we got that first attack with Barbara and all of the other Shadowhunters that were attacked during that picnic. One thing I will say, I really enjoyed seeing all the Shadowhunter like social events. I really loved seeing all the Shadowhunter kids like together and socializing, even though it really took a dark turn when all the demons came out and poisoned everyone. Before that, it was going so great. I was enjoying myself at this little picnic. But Barbara ends up dying. Barbara Lightwood, she is the daughter of Gideon and Sophie, and she has a twin sister named Eugenia. We don't see her really at all. It was so murky. The backstory behind Eugenia, like, apparently she was ruined and they sent her away, which just doesn't seem like the Lightwoods to me, but I don't know. I want to know more about that, but I was really confused. I was thinking back to Clockwork Princess because I mean, like, I've read these books so many times, so I'm just like thinking back the timeline. We know that the timeline, that the family tree at the back of Clockwork Princess, like, some of it's true and some of it is inaccurate. Barbara Lightwood, it says on here that she was born 1880 and died 1917, so like very far apart from, wait a minute. Yeah, so this is like really inaccurate because it says Barbara Lightwood died 1917, but then it says Thomas Lightwood died 1915, which we know was not true. She died before Thomas, so that's not true. Oh, that's really concerning me. Like, what if Thomas ends up dying? Oh my gosh. I should have looked at this more closely. Okay, but like, it could be inaccurate. It could not be true. But anyways, at the very end of Clockwork Princess, when we're going through that epilogue of Will's like death, R.I.P. Will Herondale, there's this one part where all the families are surrounding Will, and it says that Sophie and her two girls are there. Will dies at like around 70 years old. So like way after the last hours is finished, like that timeline is finished. Like, Will is old, his children have had children, and so he has grandchildren, but it says that Sophie and her two daughters are there. So does Sophie get pregnant again and have another girl? That could be what it means. It's like talking about all the people that are surrounding Will at his deathbed. And it says that Cecily's there, and then it says Gideon and Sophie's two girls. Okay, two girls, but doesn't mention Thomas, so like that actually makes me really worried. So I was just coming into this like talking about how it was really strange how it seems like Barbara and Eugenia are there and everything in the book is accurate. The timeline, like the family tree, could be inaccurate, but everything in the book is accurate. So it seems like Barbara and Eugenia are there, but Barbara is already dead. That's one like thing that really confused me. If you guys have anything that you understand what that means and why it says two girls, like, please tell me what are your theories about that. What do you guys think about that? Only thing I can think of is that Sophie had like another child and it was a girl. Then I just read that, and so it's not saying that Thomas Lightwood is there. So like not their son. So I'm scared that Thomas will end up dying in this trilogy. Like, we know that there's gonna be some like really like characters that we know and we love, like main characters that are gonna die. If Thomas dies, if any of these characters die, I know that some of these characters are gonna die. Like, I know it, but I'm not ready for it. I already love them. I love James and Thomas and Matthew and Christopher Lightwood, one of my faves. And then we got Anna Lightwood, Cordelia, and Lucy. They're just like the best little group of friends. I just love them. Please don't hurt them, Cassie, please. Well, they're already being hurt with their love lives, but I mean, if you've read Tales from the Shadowhunter Academy, Alistair wasn't a really great guy. Like, he was a jerk. He spread a lot of rumors, told Matthew that Charlotte had an affair with Gideon. He really does not like Alistair Carstairs, like, a lot. Alistair has this kind of arrogant, kind of jerkish vibe at the beginning of this book, and we find out that him and Charles have this thing going on. Charles Fairchild. This character is the most annoying character. I mean, like, he's more annoying than Grace. Like, and that's saying something. He's so arrogant. Like, anytime he opens his mouth, I just want to laugh. Like, I'm not really angry. I just think he's hilarious how arrogant he is. He just takes credit for everything. Like, if anyone should be acting as consul without Charlotte there, it's gotta be like Will or something. Like, not this little boy that thinks like he knows everything. Like, he's anyways, like, we don't like Charles. Like, let's not talk about him because, like, he doesn't deserve our time. But by the very end of the book, Alistair broke up with Charles. He was acting like a really nice brother, and he was actually turning into this nice human being. And I was starting to really like him. I had like a little bit of sympathy for him. We find out that Cordelia and Alistair's father was a drunk. Alistair tried to shield that from Cordelia all her years, and it seemed like he came into the academy trying to be a bully because it was either be bullied or be the bully, which I just don't understand. Like, why didn't you just try to become friends with James Harrendale and his little friends? Like, I don't know why you had to resort to being a bully. But it seemed like he did not want to be a bully and he didn't enjoy that part of himself. Did anyone just feel so bad for him when he walked up to Matthew and Thomas and Lucy and was trying to be all nice, like trying to strike up this nice conversation, because he was just being an overall a nice guy, and I could feel that he was trying so hard. Matthew just lays down that bomb. Like, no, he came up with this rumor, and Thomas like stalked off. He was like, don't talk to me. And then Alistair ran away crying. Lucy found him crying. Like, oh my gosh. I don't know. Like, at first, the beginning of the book, I didn't really like him. But like, now I love him. I want the best for him. I feel like Thomas has this huge crush on Alistair. We know that they met up in Europe that one time and they had a pretty nice time together. Now that Alistair isn't with Charles, like, is him and Thomas going to get together? That's my theory. I think that's definitely gonna happen because Alistair seems to really like Thomas, and Thomas has this, it's just obvious he has this big crush on Alistair. I think it's gonna happen. Christopher Lightwood. I love this character. He is so funny, he is so smart, and according to the family tree, which is not all accurate, like, it could be wrong, he ends up with Grace Blackthorne. There was just this one part that I thought was hilarious because, like, if they do end up together, it's just so funny because she obviously right now she's not giving him the time of day, which how could you not? Like, have you seen the fan art of Christopher Lightwood and like all these characters? Like, dang, they cute. I know they're fictional characters, but like, still. They're talking about like, Christopher, was everything all right dropping off Miss Blackthorne? And he's like, oh, perfectly. I told her all about culturing bacteria and she was so fascinated that she never spoke a word. Christopher, honey, if they're in game, I can't wait to see that happen. I just think it's so funny because Christopher, they call him Kit, and in the Dark Artifices we have Kit Haringdale and his real name is Christopher. I just feel like Cassie just threw that in there and it was a really nice like parallel. So we find out that Tessa's dad is actually a prince of hell and his name is Belial. I'm not really sure how you pronounce it, but like the gist of it is that he's a prince of hell. He is the reason why James Harrendale is seeing this shadow realm. His grandfather, which, I mean, why are we even really calling him a grandfather? He's like really not really fatherly. Has been calling him to this realm because he's been wanting to possess his body so that he can go into the mortal realm and interact with all the humans. No, we're not gonna let that happen. When Cordelia like jumped into that archway in order to get to James, James was like, oh my god, Cordelia. Like, I was for sure, I was like, oh my god, wait, is he already possessed? Are we gonna like bring him back and unknowingly bring back a prince of hell? How epically disastrous would that be if the next book was literally just us trying to figure out, oh, James is possessed by a prince of hell. Belial is still up to no good because Tatiana Blackthorne will just not stop. What is she gonna do now? Like, Belial has been wounded because of Cortana. There is something up with that sword. I know it's a very powerful sword, but like, come on. It cuts through anything. How powerful is this sword? We need a backstory. Like, something is up with this sword. It is so powerful beyond belief that It even wounded a Prince of Hell. Not enough for him to be gone for a century, which sucks. I don't like that Tatiana is still messing around with this Prince of Hell guy. What else is she gonna pull? How would, you know, like it's all up in the air now. James Harrendale has that bracelet on. He will do anything for Grace now. At the same time, he's also loyal to Cordelia because at his heart, you know, the Harrendales are they loyal? I mean, you got Stephen Harrendale. Yeah, I spoke too soon. But what I'm trying to say is James Harrendale, he's loyal so far. Okay, let's talk about Lucy Harrendale and her power and Jesse Blackthorne. Ship them. Jesse and Lucy. That ship has sailed, okay? She is not gonna be with anyone else besides Jesse Blackthorne. He's gonna come back to life. Even though he's given his last breath to James Harrendale, like he's gonna come back. Mark my words. That family tree is right. They're gonna get married. They're gonna have children. It's gonna be great. Lucy's power, it is so strange. She can see ghosts that no one else can see. And it's so strange because all Harrendales can see ghosts, but none of the other Harrendales could see Jesse Blackthorne. It's because like Jesse Blackthorne is in between worlds. He's on the brink of being dead, so he's a ghost, but he's on the brink of being alive too. So his locket, which I think that there's something going on with that locket. It's more than just like his last breath, I believe. The last breath was keeping him alive, so I'm just really confused how he's gonna, was it keeping him alive? I think it was. But like, how is he gonna come back now that that breath has been given to James Harrendale? Really, essentially, he gave it to Lucy because he said, I would give you my last breath, which is just so romantic. He gave it to Lucy, who then gave it to James. I love that I'm shipping her with a ghost. Let's talk about Grace again, even though I really don't want to talk about Grace again because she's annoying. What is up? She has some type of power, some type of ability to make people bend at her will, because I know she has that bracelet, and that is a bracelet that has put James underneath her spell, but she also did that to Matthew. Oh my god, Matthew was going off on her and she did something. She made Matthew and her kiss, and she's like, if you break off my engagement with Charles, I will tell James that you kissed me. I mean, it's not like he wanted to. I honestly believe that if Matthew had gone to James and told him everything that had happened, that James would have understood. This just proves to me that he was under some type of spell. After Grace and James broke up, he was talking to Lucy and he told her, I thought I would feel incredible grief. Instead, I am not sure what I feel. Everything is sharper and clearer. Colors and textures are different. Perhaps that is grief. Perhaps it is just that I don't know how much loss should feel. No, James, it's because you weren't really in love with her. You were just under her spell. How is she doing that? Honestly, how is she doing that? Can we just talk about how Anna Lightwood, basically, she ships James and Cordelia so much. I mean, she knew from the beginning, like when she gave Cordelia those dresses that actually like made her look good, that complimented everything about her. James saw her for the first time and he just could not stop staring at her. We all read that little smile that Anna had. She was being a matchmaker. She supports the ship. Oh my gosh. So we know that Christopher is like this inventor. He's just so intelligent. He came up with the antidote that like helped himself and everyone else. Do you guys remember that there's like those fire messages that the Shadowhunters like send out? So we see this little part, this scene where Christopher is like, it's just like all this fire and stuff, and it was an experiment method of sending messages using fire runes. He came up with that. When he got attacked, I was so heart-stricken. Those demons were after him. They did not want him to give up the antidote. They didn't want him to succeed in it. That's why they really only went after Christopher. But thank goodness Thomas had been with Christopher the entire time and knew how to make this antidote, because what would have happened if he didn't know how to do it? Oh my gosh, that one part where Cordelia, they went to that club and Cordelia was up on stage and she danced and she gave this story. It was so awesome. I feel like she's becoming so confident and like so sure of herself, because at the beginning of this book, all she wanted to do was like make friends to help her family, but now she's becoming a woman who's just confident in all the decisions that she made. James was even telling her like, go back, I'll tell them that I burned down the house so that your reputation isn't ruined. And she's like, no, I stand by what I said. I'm not gonna like get you in trouble. Like this, I made my decision and this is what we're gonna do. Cordelia Carstairs, I love her. She's like one of my top favorite Shadowhunter characters ever. She was also so relatable, like her crush on James throughout this entire book. I would become embarrassed for her, jealous for her, sorry for her a lot, especially at the very end when James was like, no, I do not love you. And when they kissed, judging by the description, James Harrendale really knows how to kiss. I don't ship her with Matthew. I'm sorry, there are some people out there that do ship her with Matthew, but like, how could you ship her with Matthew when there's James Harrendale? Lucy's power is so strange. Like, she can communicate with ghosts and like command them to do things for her. She commanded Jesse to transport her like ghosts do when James was in trouble, and she also commanded ghosts unknowingly to save Cordelia from drowning. Everyone's talking about how powerful James is, but Lucy is so powerful, and like nobody knows how powerful she is because she's just now finding out about this power, and like nobody else knows about it except for us because we're the readers and we get to know all these things before all the other characters do. When James went to see Jem because he got that message that Jem wanted to see him, and those creepy people elevated out of their beds and was like talking to James. It was so creepy. It was like out of a horror film. And then Jem walks in and he's like, what are you doing here? Like, why are you here? Why have you come here? And James is like, I got your message. You told me to come. And Jem is just like, I sent no message. Get out of there. Get out of there right now. That showdown between Belial and Cordelia and James, he made his power and he started to control like the realm around him. Yes, James. Go, James. Then Cordelia just like makes Cortana go right to her, and she's like, it's rude to take other people's swords without asking. Yes, Cordelia, you go, Cordelia. I can say this a million times. The ending of this book truly broke my heart. That conversation that James and Cordelia was having when James was like, okay, well, you know, let's get married.
No, let's not do this. Like, please,
I was hoping that someone would figure out that he was under this spell, but like, I understand. There's a second book. It's a trilogy. It's going to get worse before it gets better. So we're in for a lot more heartbreak in the second book. James doesn't know that he's in love with Cordelia. I think on the inside, he's screaming at himself to just wake up and to stop making all these dumb decisions. I mean, it was so pathetic and so sad when he was like, no, I don't love you. But he's like, I'm perfectly free to marry you. Grace is marrying someone else. Oh, that should make us feel really great, Jamie, that you're free, so you can marry someone else. You're free now. So how about let's get married? Yeah, that's definitely what a girl wants to hear. Like, do you think that they're actually going to get married, or do you think that he is going to become himself again before they get married? I feel like they won't get married. I feel like it'll be like, the next book will be like the engagement period, and like they're planning the wedding and everything, but someone is going to take that bracelet off him. Is he going to remember what Grace did to him? I just don't feel like they'll get married with him being under this spell, because it'll be the suckiest thing ever. If James gets married to Cordelia without knowing that he truly loves her, it would be the worst. Let's not let that happen. So there you have it, folks. Those were my thoughts on Chain of Gold. It was amazing. There are too many words to put all my feelings into one sentence, so forgive me if everything that comes out of my mouth just seems like a jumbled mess. You know, I was expecting something really good. I was expecting this to be a 5 stars. Did I expect this to just blow out my expectations, my high expectations, and raise them even more? Like, my expectations were like here, you know? But then the book like sailed way up. It was the best thing I've read all year so far, and it's amazing. I have been waiting for this book since the end of Clockwork Princess, when we got revealed that we were gonna have this book. Now it's in my hands. I've read it. I love the characters. I love these stories. I just can't wait for the next book. And we have to wait another year. More waiting. Well, at least we have each other to talk about our crackback theories about what's gonna happen in the next book. What do you guys think is gonna happen in the next book? Do you think that they're gonna get married with James being under the spell? Or do you think it's gonna be like an engagement and then they're gonna find out that he's under the spell? I mean, we have a long time to come up with theories. So anyways, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and that is it for today. And I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!